Hey friends, guess what we're doing today? We're gonna give you an update on the bean seedlings because I think they're pretty incredible and they've been doing so good. I've got my biotone because we're actually going to plant them today as well. So they are about a week and a half old, and you know what? They germinated like at day 5, and traditionally, or the average, is anywhere between 8 to 10 days. So if you go back, I'll reference the video, but if you go back to the video where I sow them in, I talk about the soil that I used and how I really wasn't too happy with it, but I worked with it. Well, it turns out that it retained the moisture throughout those entire 5 days. I didn't have to water at all. So I was really happy with it. I don't like what you have to do to get it working, but it's performing really well. The kale is also doing really well as well. So I'm super excited for progress. So let me show you what they look like. I've got them on the floor right here because we are going to put them in this raised bed. So remember, you have to take these out. So even though they are growing indoors in sunlight, you also have to get them adjusted to the outdoors. So for the past two and a half days, I have been bringing them out and getting them adjusted. So I think they are pretty ready to be setting out. I also don't have too much time to be, you know, transferring back and forth, and usually they say to do it for about a week. And during the spring, I didn't do that as well. I only did a couple of days, and all of my plants did really well. So I think I'm okay for about a week and a half indoors, and that's it. That's all I had to do. And look at all these beauties. They're gorgeous. Now the seedlings are getting pretty big. So like, look at that. This is bigger than my hand. They're getting pretty big, and they're putting their second pair of leaves. So they're starting to need the minerals from the soil. So putting them out in the sun, they get their photosynthesis, which produces their food and sugar, but they do need to get their minerals from the soil. And I don't need to keep them in here any longer. I can go ahead and transfer them over. If this was spring, it would be a different situation because you do have to wait for your last frost. And right now there's no frost. It's pretty hot still. We have temperatures of the high 80s to the low high 50s. So we're still in really good temperature, and they can be out here. This is gonna be the bean and pea bed, and I've got a couple of random things here. There is already a bean or two in this plant, and as you can tell, I just noticed that it's being attacked here. And I think my little friend moved on from the peppers over here. So we're gonna take care of that, but that's a bean. And then if we come over here, I'm gonna trim this tomato right now so that we can get some sun in here. But I've got a bean hidden in between the tomato and the zinnias. If you notice, look at my zinnias. Look how great they're doing. I'm in love with this color. It's gorgeous. But you know, it did fall over because of our winds, so I need to make some adjustments there as well. And just because I wanted to show you, look at my other zinnias over here. Aren't they amazing? It's October, first week of October, and I still have a lot of zinnias. Woo! Another thing you want to be conscious of is if there's any roots that are already coming out. See, these will dry up, and you don't want that to happen because this is probably one of the main roots. So once you start seeing roots, be cautious, keep them moist, or transplant them. So I've laid them out already. I think I'm gonna do 3 of the 4 here. So it's gonna be quite a few beans, but I don't want to leave any gaps. It's okay if they're crowded and if you want to test it. I have one bean over here that really did well in the corner up until now. This bean has been there since spring and it still had some beans just not too long ago, so I'm gonna take that one out and replace it. But you see how I've just laid them out. These are sets of 4. Some of them have 4, some of them have 3. See those little leaves coming on the sides? It's trying to survive. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move these out of the way, and then I'm just gonna use this entire row back here for beans and lay them out. So I'm just gonna pull it all back or move it away. I need to reapply hay. For now, we're just gonna stick it anywhere, and then once they get established, we'll put some hay down. But all of this is just like, this growth right here, these weeds are actually really good for the soil because they keep the soil alive. They are providing nutrients for everything that's growing in the soil. You need to keep that nutrition. So I'm just pulling the soil back so that I can put all these seedlings in a much easier way. They don't need to be too deep. Now, go ahead and apply the biotone. Mix it in. And now we're gonna go ahead and put the beans in. Let's see how these look. You want to be careful when you don't want to tug at them. You want them to slide out. Look at that root ball. It's just time to transplant them. This is perfect. This is why I really like these containers, because I just push it up a little bit and they come out so easily. Look at those roots. Well, it's dark. I tried really hard to finish before sundown, but hopefully you get to see I really overcrowded the beans, and I actually added some over here where the tomatoes are just for security purposes. I do have a pest that seems to have found his way in other areas. My husband did put out some bait, which I'm hoping that I don't get to see the aftermath of that. But let me just show you, hopefully you can see, and then that would be it for today. I added the taller beans on this side and then the shorter ones over here, but they are maybe 6 to 8 inches apart. I have all these varieties. See how I just laid them here all along the edge, and then some in the middle, and then over here I'm gonna add peas pretty soon. That would be my next video, I think. All of my October seeds, and all the peas are gonna come along the edge. I did fix my zinnia. I lifted her. See how this one now it's shifted, and hopefully she'll stand up by tomorrow. That allowed me to add a lot more, and I also trimmed some of the tomato so that all this area didn't get too much shade. that's it. I wanted to give you an update. I hope this was helpful, and I'm excited for the next. I do have the kale that I think I'm gonna leave a couple more days before I put out, because they still need a little bit more growth. Either way, they're doing really good for only being a week and a half old. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.